I think that makes another really great segue into our next question. And I'm going to go ahead and kick this one to you, Emily, as a person that works directly with legislators. As you were talking to legislators about the industry, how would you express what is the most significant issue that faces beef producers today? And does it look like that issue will continue to be problematic in the foreseeable future?
I can only pick one.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a question I thought about a lot. There's a number of issues, a lot of them regulatory, that the beef industry and the meat industry in general face. I think one issue is that sometimes that we are our own worst enemy, and whether we're not doing a very good job of getting our story out there. Actually, in the legislature here in Colorado, we have 100 legislators, 35 in the Senate, 65 in the House of Representatives. Only 7 of those representatives total represent a rural part of Colorado, and only 3 of them are active farmers or ranchers. So that presents an extreme challenge to somebody like myself. The ag lobby for is kind of what we talk about, the other ag groups that have lobbies at the Capitol. It's a challenge, and so to help farmers and ranchers talk to these legislators, to help them connect with legislators is one of the challenges, because those 100 legislators, or I don't know, 500 some in Congress, they don't understand it. They come from Denver, they come from Colorado Springs, they come from Boulder, and places like that. And so to help them and to speak a language that they speak. We speak really good jargon here in the ag industry. We have great terms for things that they can't even imagine, or sometimes don't want to imagine. When you talk about operations, that their brain often goes to surgeries, where ours goes to a pasture or a feedlot. And so being able to communicate not only with ourselves, which we do a good job of, but to communicate with the public is probably, I think, we already talked about marketing a little bit and marketing our products. I think this goes right hand in hand with that, and it is an issue and a challenge. But we also work against each other every once in a while, the beef industry, on different policy ideas, and so that's also not necessarily helpful all the time at the Capitol. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Well, I'm going to kick that as a follow-up over to Lee. You look like you've got some good points.
Yeah, I was going to say, my probably 2 pet peeves. One would be, biggest issue is water. Obviously, water in Colorado. If you're from Colorado, we have a challenge with water. I believe technology will help us with that, and we have to use the technology we have to improve that, but it's going to be a challenge, right? It's going to be nip and tuck as to whether the population outruns the water before the technology can help us use the water better. That's kind of, I think, the race we're in. But then I think the point, and maybe I'm even more explicit than you were about the issues where we stab ourselves in the foot. I think as we run, as we're stewards, whether of a ranch or feedlot or whatever kind of operation we have, our ability to care for that property well in a long-term basis and really take advantage of all the technology that we can to be the best steward of that resource. And really, we have to remember that we're going to be judged by the weakest links in our chain, right? They're really not going to come to the best feedlot in the world, that you have, or the best managed environmental stewardship award winner from the state of Colorado. They're going to go to the weak link. And I think that what we have to do as an industry is we have to put peer pressure on the weak links. That's not something we like to do. That's kind of against our grain. That ruffles everybody's feathers. But at the end of the day, we are going to get judged by those weak links. And I think we have to do a good job. We have to be beyond reproach as much as we can on all those issues. Because at the end of the day, if we do that, we take away a very, very deadly weapon that our detractors have, and that they can use to really argue against all of our businesses. And so we have to remember that peer pressure, best management practices on all the things we do, but particularly how we steward the environment, is really critical. And I still, you know, if you're our age, you're sort of on the bubble, right? We talk to the people older than us, and they have sometimes some real throwback ideas. Okay, they really fight the idea that we have to be responsible. You know, it's our land, we own it, we can do whatever the heck we want with it. Gosh, I think that attitude's going to get us in trouble. And so you're the new generation. You have to have way more sensibilities to that. And the challenge is to go back into the operations that you're going to join, you know, in the future years, and try to convey that sensibility in a way that can positively impact behavior. And I think that's something we all have to take seriously and have to take upon ourselves to do to help our industry.
So one thing I want to kind of touch on what you mentioned, Emily, about one of the challenges being a population of consumers who's removed from the farm. As a professor at CSU, that's daily life. Most of the students in our classroom, most of the people in America do not come from an agricultural background. And for decades and for years, we have been concerned about that, and we've viewed it as a challenge, but it is a significant opportunity. And I think one of the best examples of that is one of the people in our panel up here. You do not have to come from an agricultural background to be involved in agriculture. And I think the sooner we get away from that as a stigma of not being an ag, then the better we are at moving forward progressively and using the reality that people aren't being raised on a farm, not as a disadvantage, but as an opportunity. They are eager to learn. Many of them come to CSU to learn about beef production and about agriculture, and if we take them to the farm, if we expose them to what we do, they can be involved in the future of our industry. If we say that that's a challenge we're not willing to face, then they become the opposite of an opportunity and they become a challenge. So, you know, I think it's a valid concern and a valid challenge that they're not involved. They're not from what we're from or from the industry that we are a part of. But rather than view it as a challenge, I would challenge all of you to view it as an opportunity to educate new consumers or new industry members about what we do and what you do and why you're passionate about it. And I see it every day. They are very eager to learn. They may not know anything coming in the front door, but they have ears open and they're ready to ask questions. And sometimes we're able to teach them more than the folks who think they know what they're doing. So I think it's a really interesting conversation to have, because as traditional agriculturalists, I remember moving here from Texas. It was an interesting opportunity to be exposed to students who didn't know what feather bones were, or had never seen or didn't know what a chine bone was, terms that I'm familiar with using as a livestock producer, and the students in my class didn't know what they were. And I quickly learned that that could be viewed as a challenge and could keep me from giving them an opportunity to be involved in the industry that I'm passionate about. So I would challenge all of you in the room tonight not to view it as a challenge, but to capitalize on an opportunity to engage people in our industry who want to know. And they will make a decision about our industry whether we inform them or not. So let's take it as an opportunity to show them what we do and tell our good story to them.
Gosh, Doc, I feel like I should have been taking notes. I was in class.
That's my soapbox.
I appreciate it. I think I learned something today, and I didn't even know what I did for a living until now. Well, it looks like we're getting the high sign. We've been at this for a little over 30 minutes. You guys have been great. But you guys are here not just to hear us talk and hear these folks talk at you. You get to do that all day, every day. I'm sure in class as young adults going to school. So I want to give you an opportunity to come to the mic with anything, burning questions, to keep them limited to the content, obviously. We don't want to get too experimental here. But I want to invite you up and give you the opportunity. Mr. Auctioneer.
I'm going to set the mic up so somebody can talk.
I thought you were going to open us up.
Well, I do have a question.
What's it look like for the auction business?
Yeah. What are you recommending for producers struggling with cold market prices right now for cattle?
Say again?
Like cold cattle prices. A lot of producers are struggling with that right now. Do you have any suggestions, tips? How do we battle that?
I'm going to kick it over to the
Kind of
large
a-
market guy here. Yeah.
I wanted to know what producers should do, if they have any advice for producers who are struggling due to the depressed coal fat margin.
Taco
So,
McDonald's? No.
I mean, I don't know. It's the honest answer, right? And part of me says, I don't know, see if you can try, right? And wait it out. But sometimes, my mentors always said the first loss is the best loss, and to stop out of the trade and move on to the next trade. And so instead of worrying about whether or not you're going to get 20 cents or 80 cents, which 20 and 80 still suck, you should probably look at the next opportunity to recover that. So it's a mindset of looking at the next trade, not looking at the one that's behind you.
That's a good point. It's a real good point. Next. Go ahead.
So the panel talked a lot today about us being our own advocates, but I think one of the hardest things to defend is probably the feedlot industry. We know it's more efficient, we know it works well for the United States, but maybe some individuals in the room need some talking points when they're having that conversation with those who are not proponents of it.
Lee, do you feel triggered? Go ahead. No safe space here.
I think it's about embracing technology, right? So if you operate under the premise that cattle are bad for the environment and it's their flatulence that causes the problem, right? Do you want an animal that gains 0.9 pounds a day and is on this earth for 4 years? Or do you want an animal that gains 3.5 pounds a day and is on this earth for less than 30 months? And so I think the only way that you can get the same production is to utilize the technology. That technology, much of it started at this university, is to feed corn to animals. And I think that when you start down the path of utilizing technology, it's something that people that didn't grow up in agriculture begin to understand. And so the first step is the utilization of what is now an old technology of steam flake corn, and then it's the utilization of implants, which helps improve efficiencies, and then it potentially is beta agonists, etc. And then the most important thing is what you guys do on the ranch, right? Which is you're utilizing technologies to improve your herd, so that we have a more efficient herd, which is obviously what Lee strives to do every single day. So it is about communicating that technology to make people understand how important feedlots are to the environment and to feeding the world.
And I think the follow-up to that, I think, it doesn't take very much homework. You don't have to do a lot of homework to figure out how much more productive we are as an industry in the United States compared to any other country in the world. Any other country in the world. And it's because of our feedlot industry. It's funny because when I used to travel down to Brazil in the 90s, I would visit these guys that were finishing cattle on grass at 3.5 or 4 years of age. And they tell me, they say, gosh, that feedlot sector is so expensive in the United States. That's why your beef costs so much. We can make beef so much cheaper here. And I said, it's the cow-calf part that's expensive because we put it in the feedlot. And back in the day, cost of gain was 50, 60 cents. Now say it's 80 today. And nobody can make a calf at weaning for 80 cents. We're probably $1.50 to $1.75 break even on the ranch, and the feedlot's at 85. So the feedlot's half as expensive as the pounds we produce at the ranch. Half as expensive. And so if we try to take a scarce resource, which is land, and try to produce beef just using the grass, it's going to wreck our industry. And if you have any doubt about that, just look at the countries that grass finish and look at their productivity relative to our productivity. And that doesn't even go into talking about the quality of the product at the end of the day that we have from the grain finishing.
And I think most of the concerns relative to the feedlot industry are social. They're concerned about cattle in a confined environment, and we deal with that regularly where people are fearful of what they don't know. Like an example that I use a lot, I am terrified of going deep sea diving, but if I did it, it'd probably be pretty cool, right? So So if I've never seen a feed yard, I'm gonna be really scared and have these perceptions in my head of it's cattle packed in this really small environment. But our experience is, if we take a consumer who has the fear of what a feedlot looks like and take them to the feedlot, their first response is, they have a lot of space. They can move around, they can roll around, they're running around. And so I think part of it is eliminating the fear of the unknown and being more transparent. And I think one of the best examples that I've experienced here recently is Five Rivers' effort in social media. That's done a heck of a job at being transparent about the things that they do daily to assure the welfare and health and safety and happiness, if you will, of the cattle in their yard. And I think the more we see that happening, the more the fear goes away. And then we can embrace the technology because we can all wrap our heads around, no one wants to pay $25 a pound for beef, and we want still to have high quality products.
Boy, if you haven't been on their social media account, Five Rivers. Yeah, y'all pretty good.
I thought you weren't,
Oh,